story time. So I went to Joseph Beth, which is an indie bookstore here in Cincinnati, and noticed that they're having a big sale. So I mosey on in without any problem at all, find 4 books. I think, okay, let's head to Half Price Books, check out their clearance section, find 5 books. Then I let's test my luck, go to my library's used bookstore. They're closed. Next day, go find 4 books. Hit up a couple little free libraries, find another 2, and that, friends, is how I got 15 books for less than $50. Let's do a book haul. All right, let's start with our first book, The Cherry Cheesecake Murder by Joanna Fluke. I have seen this series everywhere, just everywhere. And it's always been intriguing to me because I have been loving cozy mysteries and I love food related things in general because I'm a big foodie in addition to being a big reader. So picked this one up, pretty excited about it, just to see kind of what this series is all about. And there's so many books in this series. So if I like this one, then I'm happy that I'll have a bunch more to choose from. Next up is a book that I picked up from a little free library, Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up by Cherish Reed. I am pretty sure I put this book in the same little free library like a month or 2 ago when I did that little free library video, and it was still there. So I hadn't read it. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign that it's time for me to read it. I'm really excited about this one. It comes so highly recommended. So excited about this one. It's a romance. I think is there an age gap in this one? I can't remember if there's an age gap in this one, but it's basically about a woman who is in her 40s and she's returning to college, gets a job at a bar, falls in love, and kind of is like reimagining and re-envisioning her life, which I love stories like that. So excited about this one. Next, Crazy Rich Asians, which I have never read. I've seen the movie, but so long ago that I don't even remember what happens in it. So excited to pick up this book and give it a read. I feel like this is just kind of one of those books that everyone has read at this point, except for me, and which is usually the case because I'm always behind on the trends, but excited to read this one and see what the ruckus is all about when it comes to this Kevin Kwan book. Next, Mimi Lee Gets a Clue by Jennifer J. Chow. This is another one that I've been seeing like every time I go to either the Friends of the Library or Joseph Beth. I see this book and I'm like, should I pick this up? I don't know. And the reason that I haven't picked it up before is because there's like talking animals in it. And I just am like, is that too far gone for me? Like, is that too just unrealistic and I will just roll my eyes every time the animal talks? I don't know, but it was on big time sale. So I was like, now's the perfect time to take a chance on it and see. So this is another cozy mystery. Again, part of a series. So if I like it, there's others. And I've been finding that I love books like that recently, just because I have been really like wanting to stick with things that I like. Like I've just not wanting to take too many chances on books lately. But I'm trying to get out of that a little bit, so we'll see. But this definitely is in the cozy realm for me. Next up, The Partner Track by Helen Wan. Apparently this is now a Netflix series, though I haven't heard about it. But I also haven't had Netflix in a while, ever since they made that household rule where you have to be in the same household and use the same Wi-Fi, and I was on my family plan, and now I just can't be bothered. But I digress. So The Partner Track, this is about a first-generation Chinese American woman who is on track to be a partner at her law firm. I believe it's a law firm. Yes, it's a law firm. And there is an offensive incident that happens at a summer outing, which threatens the firm's reputation. And then all of a sudden they want Ingrid, who is the main character, to be over their DEIB efforts, which is like, hello tokenism, just big time. So I'm excited to read this because I think it will mimic a lot of experiences that I've had as a Black person in the workplace, which will be interesting to read about it from the Chinese American perspective. So really excited about this one. Next up, 50 Words for Rain by Asha Lemme. I have been eyeing this one for a really long time. It is a doozy of a book. It is pretty thick. I think it's like close to 400 pages, over 400 pages. So this one's gonna take me a while to get through it. But one, I was attracted to it because the author's name is Asha and my name is Asha, and you don't find that super often. I actually think I want to do a video where I only read books by authors that have the same name as me. So if you like that idea, like this video so that I know that I should do it. But 50 Words for Rain has a really interesting premise. So it's about an 8-year-old girl whose mother abandons her, and she goes to live with her grandparents who are Japanese, and she is part Japanese, part African American. And they basically like try to make her less black, and she takes chemical baths and they hide her, and they basically want her to try to pass as a Japanese person instead of a mixed person. So really interesting premise of this book. I cannot wait to read this one. All right, next up, Long Division by Kees Lehman. I'm gonna say Kees, maybe Kies. But I basically got this one for one reason and one reason only, because it is a book that is flipped. So if you open it one direction, the writing is right side up, and then if you flip the book and open it the other direction, the writing is right side up. So it's like split in half. I think this is so cool because it reminds me of a book that I read as a kid called Flipped, and it had the same design to it, and I thought it was just the bee's knees, y'all. I could not get over how cool of a concept that was as a child. So when I saw that this book was designed in the same way, I was like, I have to pick it up. I mean, I just have to pick it up. So a little something different for me, but we like different. We're trying to embrace different. Now this one's not different at all. This one is right up my alley. It's called The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. Y'all know I love books with bookish themes. Bookstores, bookshops, libraries, like give me anything that has a bookish theme and I will love it. So I'm fully expecting to love this book. Basically, Nina is a literary matchmaker. She works as a librarian in a hectic city, but then she loses her job, and so she moves to a sleepy village miles away. She buys a van and transforms it into a mobile bookshop, which I think is a really cool premise. And then it's about her antics in that mobile bookshop and all the people that she meets along the way. So this one, I might have to read this one next just because I think I'm gonna love it. And I can't wait to pick that one up. Oh, next is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I have never read Divergent. I loved The Hunger Games. I love that kind of premise of book, but I've never read the Divergent series. So when I saw this one at Half Price Books in their clearance section for like $3, now the book is a little worse for the wear. It has what looks to be like some dog bite marks on it, but I don't mind that. And you can't beat that price. So I was excited about this one. I can't believe I've never read it, but excited to read it. All right, next, Queenie by Candace Carty-Williams. This one I have seen around and heard a lot about. I think it's becoming a series on like HBO or Netflix somewhere. And I was just so drawn to it because look at her braids. Like the parts are just beautiful. And as someone who has braids myself, I was like, this is just like a beautiful set of braids and I can't pass this up, and her edges are just laid so perfectly. Like this may be like a really shallow reason to pick up a book, but I was like, whoever designed this, and if the author like had anything to do with it, they know about being black, and I need to read this book. So really excited about this one. Basically Queenie's life kind of just falls apart and she finds herself wondering, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And who do you want to be? Which are like questions that I ask myself every day in my 30s. So I'm like, let's read a book about it. And that's Queenie. Next up is by the book by Jasmine Gilroy. I have read Party of Two by her and really enjoyed it. I think it was like a 4-ish star for me kind of book. So excited to read this. Again, another book with bookish themes. This one is about Isabel, who I think works for a publishing company, and she basically has to help this author named Bo Towers. What a name. She has to help Bo finish writing his book. Antics ensue as usual. Romance likely also ensues as usual. So excited to read this one. Bookish themes, they get me every time. All right, Dear Edward by Anne Napolitano. This is another book that I'm pretty sure I put in a little free library a month ago and it was still there. But I was like, you know what? Another sign, let's pick it up. And I actually forgot how interested I was in the premise of this book. So basically, 12-year-old Edward goes on a flight with 183 other passengers and the plane crashes and Edward is the only survivor. And this is about like his story and how he kind of heals. And I think that is just such an interesting premise. Like, very traumatic, but excited to read about how this 12-year-old kind of navigates like such a horrific instance. So that will be that. And while we're on plane themes, I also got another book where a plane crashes, Falling by TJ Newman. I've seen this one all over like Book Talk and Bookstagram, probably like 6 months ago, because I'm always behind on the trends, like I've mentioned. But I think this one will also be really interesting. This one is about a pilot who has to make a decision on whether to crash the plane and kill everyone in it and save his family, or have his family die and save the lives of everyone on the plane, which I don't even know how you would make such a decision, but we will find out in this book. All right, 2 more. After You by Jojo Moyes. Okay, so I love this author. I have read so many books by her. The Giver of Stars. Is that what it's called? Giver of Stars? I think The Giver of Stars was one of my favorite books. I loved Me Before You. I don't cry at books, but like Me Before You got me real close to crying. And so I'm excited about this one because this is the premise of what happens after what happens in Me Before You, and I'm trying not to give it away, but it kind of is like, how do you heal and move on after something traumatic in your life happens, which kind of seems to be a theme of a lot of books that I picked up. It's either like big time trauma and how do you heal, how do you make big decisions in your life, something bad happens in your life and how do you like put your life back together, or pure romance. Those are apparently my 2 spectrums. But excited about this one. I think it's going to be really good, and because I love this author so much, I just feel like she can't do any wrong. So I hope she doesn't do me wrong with this book. And then last but certainly not least, Salt Houses by Hala Alian. This one I've been seeing so much lately. It's by a Palestinian author, and it basically is like asking the question of like what happens when you can't go home, which I think is just so timely for what is happening in Palestine right now and many other places across the world where people's homes are being destroyed, their lives are being destroyed. And I think it's important for us to read the perspectives of the people who are going through those things. So this one I think is going to be a tearjerker. I think it's going to be a heartbreaker, but I am excited to read it because I think it is so incredibly important. All right, those are all of my books that I picked up. I've got so many to add to my shelves. I'm running out of space quickly. So I think I need to go on a book buying ban after this. So hopefully no more book hauls for a while, but plenty of other fun videos coming soon. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you come back for the next one, and I will see you then, friends.